living the dream in New York. Like, it's good to live as a capable, competent man in New York City in your 30s when you have money. And when you're 35, you can basically date anybody from like 18 and above.
Ruslan.
When you think about work on, I heard a phrase yesterday about needing to do deep work. What does it mean? And I think you kind of said similar language, needing to do work. What does that mean to you when you say, hey, I need to do some work, some deep work on myself?
It's really been, a lot of it's been like really being honest with myself. And that's continues to be something that I try to hone, recognizing moments I'm not being honest with myself. I'm trying to think like before what the deep work was. Before what the deep work was when I was in a period of like waking up every day in kind of a survival mode and like just feeling depressed all the time. Deep work was just showing up. And it was like, you know, my Spotify playlist was like Eminem, Not Afraid. Like, you got it, you can go, you can keep going. Like, deep work in the past was like, you can keep going, you can do this. Cause like in the past, like it was like when you first climb that mountain, it's like, dude, like every day's a battle or whatever. Like that's deep work was showing up and then like doing the right things, doing the things you should do, doing the things you shouldn't do. And then as I've kind of increasingly mastered that, I think now for me, it's kind of like, you know, what do they say? That the small is a gate and narrow is a path that leads to life if you ever find it. And it's just like, it's an increasing amount of like, I don't know, it just feels like a filtering, like where it's just coming down to a very narrow path. And so I think what it is it's being super self-aware of moments where I'm like, oh, I notice myself feeling envious about this person. I'm noticing jealousy arise. On the car ride here, something I've been working through is I noticed that a lot of times when I talk with some of my close friends who are non-Christians, because my closest friends are non-Christians because like from high school and college and stuff, I noticed that I feel a little bit of resentment towards them that they judge me for my faith because like I've gone deeper in my faith. They're like, Eric, why are you not smoking pot? Like, why are you not like, do you really think you can't sleep with women? Like God created, like they don't understand these things. And so something I've been noticing was like, oh, why do I feel resentment with them? And where is this resentment coming from? And like, so it's just like paying attention to like negative emotions that I have and then just working through them and being like, you know, going through the layers. So for that example, it's like, well, one, it's like a prideful kind of thing of like, oh, they think I'm stupid, but like, dude, if they knew all the work, all the Bible reading I've been doing, and like, how can they be so judgmental? They don't know anything. Like, so there's some ego stuff to it. Yeah. And then I got to work through that and realize that like, oh, they're not seeking God. Like, of course they're not going to like be on the same page with you about this. But then even deeper level, it's like, oh, actually it's like, I don't feel seen by them. And that's painful when you don't feel seen by your closest friends or your parents or whatever. And then it's like working through that and being like, okay, God, like Jesus, how do I like make sure that I'm seen by you first, you know, and get that filled up. So this is the work. This is kind of what the work looks like. And I don't know if some holes I feel like never really get fully filled. Maybe some they get like 99%. There's always a little bit of an edge. There's always a little bit of like grace involved. But like, I think over time, it's like increasingly feeling more full and increasingly feeling like those moments of envy and jealousy and insecurity and smallness get increasingly smaller and smaller and smaller. I don't know if they're ever going to go away on this side of eternity, but certainly they've gotten to a point where they're not causing like depression and void and loneliness as were before.
Man, that's interesting. I was thinking about this. So there's a whole lot of thoughts when you describe that. Yeah. One, I think of when you talk about not sleeping with girls, right? And whatever, being Christian. I think of it this way. And I'm curious how much of this is maybe just regional for you, you know, because man, folks in New York don't get married in their 20s. Folks in you know, averages, they push it out and push it out and push it out. And then folks are starting families in like their late 30s, you know, and it's such a different culture, you know, where out here, and I'm in Southern California, but it's not like LA, San Francisco. Like I'm in San Diego County, but this is suburban. You know, you find a lot of people that are married. You know, I was married 23. You know, I've been with my wife for 19 years. Yeah, you know, married 15 years. That's why I'm
just like, that's crazy, dude. Like,
and people say that they're like, that's crazy. But if you think about it, like, there's an order to life that, like, I heard this illustration of, like, if you just got you bring home a box from IKEA and there's like no instructions for it. And it's like, well, I don't know. Is it a coffee table or is it a helicopter? Like, I guess we just got to figure it out, you know? And it's like, no, it's a coffee table. Like there's specific instructions for it.
Yeah.
You put it together sequentially.
Yeah.
And then you get the amazing benefit of having said item because you built it. And ironically enough, this concept of an IKEA marriage is something that the late Kevin Samuels talked about, which is really weird. It's like the one thing he said that I like appreciated is like build a life together and piece it together, you know, and be poor together, like live together. And it's this tension because money fights and financial problems can be really difficult on a marriage. But at the same time, it's like, man, the bond me and my wife have of just like getting it out the mud and building a family and building a home and all these things is really cool. So when you talk about something like that, I just go, man, there's an order. There's a beautiful order that God has for marriage, for this beautiful covenantal marriage of like a man grows up and leaves his father and mother and figures out a way to do the work of becoming a competent person. And I always describe it as becoming the priest, provider, and protector of your home. Not to say that women can't work, but a lot of women are going to want to
king archetypes. Yeah,
they're going to want to stay home at some point when they have little kids. And it's like you build this out, and when you look at it that way and you just think about 100 years ago, 50 years ago, like we've always been wired, I think, to start families, reproduce and build villages and, you know, continue on. And it's only until recently where society had this concept of like adolescence has crept in where you're like 18 to 32.
Do whatever you want. Yeah.
Do whatever you want. You're like, you're a man-child. You're like, you're not a child anymore, but you're not really a man. And so there's like less expectation of you. And what's interesting to me is the a lot of the people in my immediate community, like I'm not the anomaly. Like Zach got married at 21. I was at a thing last night, a friend of ours, 10-year wedding anniversary, and everyone who was in the room was about 7 couples, all with the caveat of one got married in their early 20s, you know, and have all been married for 10 years plus, you know? And so like, I think there's a beautiful natural order thing, but if you're around folks that are checked out or in just areas where all they know is San Francisco, New York City, Miami, big city, coastal.
Yeah.
We're going to party and be men, children, and do the things. Yeah. Then of course it's going to be foreign to them. But the thing they don't understand is how awesome it is to be married to the same person for 15 years and how beautiful it is to build the intimacy aspect, the sex life, how beautiful it is to build the trust of my wife believes in me oftentimes more than I believe in myself. Like how beautiful it is to build a family and how awesome it is to have kids. Like it's difficult to even articulate how dope it is to have an 8-year-old and a 2-year-old. And my 2-year-old, unless she knows you, she's not going to open up herself to you. And so people are like, if I have kids, I don't know if I'll like them. And it's like, well, yeah, because you've never been around a freaking 2-year-old who's the most adorable thing in the world. Hey, did you know that you can watch videos like this on the Spotify app? We now are on Spotify under Ruslan Bless God Podcast. So if you're driving and you want to go back and forth between listening to the podcast and just the audio or watching the video, consider doing it now on the Spotify app, as well as all podcast platforms. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace. So I think like people who don't know Jesus or aren't around this proximity-wise, it could be difficult for them to understand the practical benefits of how God's laid an order to things. And I'm not saying everyone needs to get married in their 20s. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is there's a beauty to it all that could just be difficult. And so like you feeling a sense of resentment, I feel like, oh, bro, that's such a bummer that like they don't know how amazing a covenantal marriage really is. Yeah. They don't know how safe you feel in your sex life after you've been married for 15 years really is. They don't get it. And it's like, it's almost not their fault. Like, it's almost like, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're saying by like attacking you for like being like, yeah, I don't want to go smash random broads and it's awkward and clunky and one night stands and all this weird stuff. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Like, you're right. And I could prove it to you empirically. You're right. I could prove it to you with the data that like the most satisfied people in marriages are people who were virgins.
Yeah.
You know, the people who are most fulfilled, the least likely to get divorced, are people who didn't go out and increase their notch count. The people who stay married the longest, the people who have the most mental health, right? Physical health, all these things. Like, God was right, dude. You know? And so I almost feel bad because what it is it's selection bias. It's you don't know what you don't know. And you don't know that there's tens and thousands, probably millions of people that got married in their early 20s, love Jesus, building businesses, building families, having great lives. And they're not perfect, but they're crushing it, you know? And so anyway, I just wanted to share that with you to say, like, you're right. Like, you are actually in the right, not just spiritually, but like empirically speaking, like the data is on your side, you know? And that's dope.
Like, I'm hearing this, and again, this is like what you were alluding to. I'm actually more in the camp of my friends because, like, I don't know what covenantal marriage is like. I don't know what having children is like. So it's requiring faith on my end to be like, okay, God, like, this sucks, but like, I'm going to follow you. If just solely because I know if I don't, I feel so jarred that I don't want to go there. I'm going to follow you on this. But I can't honestly say right now that like, oh yeah, I believe that covenantal marriage and I don't know. I won't know until I get there. So that, I mean, I appreciate that. I'll try to absorb that and take that in. I think if I were to have more conviction as you and belief, the things my friends would not bother me because I would have more conviction. And that's probably the other learning deep work for myself is to not just be like, hey, I don't want to do these things, but like, why? And do I really believe it's the better way? Which is some work. This is the deep work that we're talking about.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting. I think the conviction and belief comes oftentimes from the certainty of being on the other side of something, right? This is what I mean. Like, I love food. And if I'm not careful, I'll be the guy that's easily addicted to sugar. And if I'm not careful, I'll go from the guy being addicted to sugar to like, and Zach could attest to this, to like, let's Instacart the flourless cocoa cookies every day. And I'm having sugar every day. Or like, I'll be the guy at the donut shop at 11 at night, like a freaking crackhead, right? It's like I have a problem.
You got like powder on your nose.
Bro, it's nuts. But what I know is if I eliminate the sugar and I lock into a workout regimen and I increase the chicken and the broccoli, on the other side of that are abs and a body where I feel awesome with my shirt off with my wife, you know? And I feel better and I have more mental clarity and I don't have the sugar crashes every day. And right, the evidence and the confidence comes as a byproduct of walking through that process. And initially thinking, is it really worth it to give up the donuts and the flourless cocoa cookies? I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know if it's actually better for me. But then you walk through it, and then I've walked through it, and then I've like gotten shredded, and I like, oh man, like my after photos look nuts, and I feel great.
Yeah.
And that's where the certainty and the confidence comes from. Because I know more chicken, more broccoli, cut out the sugar, get more sleep, drink more water, hit the weights, go to the gym, walk more, and then like compound that in a year from now, and you look like a different person,
right?
You know, so it's like but it could be difficult for someone when you're trying to convince them, like, hey man, like you want to cut out the sugar and you want to increase the protein in the chicken and the broccoli, and they're like, but why? I like sugar, and it's like you do like sugar, but it's going to kill you. Like this is going to kill you.
Yeah.
And so you to your point, oftentimes the certainty and the confidence and the evidence comes from being on the other side of something and then being like, oh, like everyone who talks about eating more broccoli and chicken has been right all along, and I just didn't get it, you know?
Right.
And it's tricky. It's tricky.
Right. And I think part of it is also, if we're using your analogy, it's like if you're not in a place where eating chicken and broccoli is providing you some sort of like, you recognize value in that healthiness.
Yeah.
And which is what happens when a lot of people who aren't seeking God, they'll be like, I don't see any value in purity. Is it, you know? So then it's like, yeah, I don't see how. I don't see why they would ever sacrifice the sweets, like because it's very sweet.
Yep.
But having also tasted sweets before, like I know they feel, I think if they were really honest with themselves, and this is where we go back to honesty, I think they were really honest, even if they didn't know God, maybe I think they would still feel a little bit of like, oh, this actually isn't that great. I don't know, maybe. I like I have like, you know, all my guy friends, right, 30 in their mid 30s, like living the dream in New York. Like it's good to live as a capable, competent man in New York City in your 30s when you have money. When and when you're 35, you can basically date anybody from like 18 and above.
They're living the fresh and fit life.
Yeah.
Andrew Tate manifested, right?
yeah, without going to prison or anything. And I can imagine like that's probably I imagine they get tired of it after a while. They're at some point, I think they do want to settle down. I can see fruits of their life. But I also feel like my life's pretty good. I'd rather not go through like the sleeping with someone and then next morning you're like, oh, what the frick? And like feeling all weird inside, like that. I think I can in the moment say like, you know what? I'd rather like not have that. But it took a long time to get there.
Yeah, well, I mean, and again, you are immersed in a city, and your friends that are like, man, there's cultural disconnects, you know, that are often incongruent with what it means to be a follower of Jesus, you know, and that could be tough, man. That could be tough. But I believe God has you there, like strategically, even with the style of content you're making. I feel like all of it is intentional.
I believe that.
And your cross to bear is going to be a little different, you know, and it's going to be a little trickier to navigate it initially. But I think you fast forward 5 years from now, 10 years from now, like it's going to be awesome.
I believe that, and I believe good things will come. And also, I'm just like, I have no choice. Like, what am I going to do at this point? Not follow God? Like, I've gone so far. I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to turn back and go the other way. So I'm just like, all right, God, I'm not thrilled about this, but I'm also happy. But you know, I'll give these things to you.
Hey, if you want to see the extended version of this podcast, completely unedited, consider partnering with us in our online community for as little as $5 a month. In exchange, you get access to these podcasts as we stream them live before anyone else gets to see them. You get access to the replay of our daily after party streams, access to our private Discord server, access to discount codes, and so much more. So help us continue contextualizing the gospel through media, podcasting, and YouTube, and partner with us for as little as $5 a month. Also, be sure to follow us on the Spotify podcast app, on Facebook, and on Instagram. We're constantly posting content there that I think you'll find extremely valuable. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.